Well, hello everyone, and welcome to 5 and 15, a webinar series from CO where we promise to give you 5 interesting, useful, maybe even amusing tips, ideas, thoughts that you can use in your work in strategic marketing and communications, even business management today, I think, all within the constraints of a 15-minute webinar because we know you are busy. So we try to keep to that. Today, really exciting person and exciting topic. As some of those have been with us through the journey know, COVID plays a bigger or smaller part sometimes, but in this case, it plays a big part. Hailey Rosenstein she's going to talk with us in just a moment, from Crêpes Latte. They had the predominant part, all of their business basically in trade shows. And all of you listening are going, oh my gosh, because just as we are not attending trade shows, their business was trade shows. That had a big effect, the shutdown. But then, like any smart entrepreneur, energetic, they looked at how they could pivot their business. So a fascinating story. Hailey, welcome to 5 and 15. Thanks so much for joining us today. It's probably painful. I don't want to take you back there, but you said you were hit by a tsunami of COVID. So maybe you could start by explaining Crêpes Latte and then what happened to you and your business. And then we'll get into the great story of how you're navigating forward. Oh, and by the way, they are a 100% employee-owned ESOP, just as us at CO. And I'm Mark Gale, CEO at CO. So Hailey, take it away.
Well, thank you. I'm Hailey Rosenstein with Crêpes Latte Experiential Hospitality. Our business, we've been in business for about 20 years, and our business supports trade shows with experiential food and beverage, working for Fortune 500 companies. On any given year, we do well over 200 trade shows with over 500,000 servings. Our team has 30 full-time and 100 part-timers. And that tsunami that hit us with COVID, usually March picks up, and that is really a peak of our events, and it goes through early June. In the month of March, when COVID occurred, the wave of cancellations came in quick and furiously. We canceled over 450 shifts of team members supporting events all over the country.
Oh,
and then after that, the rest of the event schedule soon followed with more cancellations. But March was supposed to be one of our banner months of the year.
And tell us a little about what do you serve? I know it's higher end stuff.
Sure.
A higher end experience is really what you focus on in food and beverage.
So yes, so our clients, predominantly, we do quite a bit in the medical industry, luxury auto, and some in the finance marketplace. But it's really that high touch experience with cappuccino. We do fresh baked brownies, street tacos, paninis, but our equipment has a great presentation, and our people always focus on eye contact as well as brand recognition for whoever we're working for, that we infuse that language every time we serve, that we mention that company name that we're supporting.
Okay, great.
We also match, from a marketing perspective, we'll match Pantone colors, we'll customize graphics, and then we also, it's really all about presentation. So very contemporary designs.
Yeah, it's interesting. You're in one of those segments of business. I think most of us take that cappuccino for granted, but we never really think about how it got there. Magic or McCormick Place did it or something, and they didn't. So what was your initial reaction? Were you thinking that, well, maybe this is going to pass quickly? At what point, I guess, did you realize this is fundamental and we're going to have to do something else?
Probably about 6 weeks in. We have shows that kicked off in March, and then really there were some major shows in early June with large international audiences. And that show canceled a couple weeks in. So we watched them kind of stack like dominoes. We were watching those daily cancellations
Okay.
and really thought it was more of a seasonality. But when that last June show canceled, and it is for us, like we call it the Super Bowl of our event perspective, it's an annual show at McCormick Place, where last year we had 70 staff working and we served over 100,000 servings in one weekend.
Holy cow.
And the logistical, planning, we planned for 4 to 6 months for that culmination of our show schedule. So when it canceled, you knew that you were going to wait for the fall. And never in our wildest dreams did we think the fall would then cancel as well. But come July, most of the entire fall schedule canceled.
Okay. So business that you've spent decades working on all of a sudden collapses, no fault of your own.
No.
Could happen to doesn't matter. Any business person on earth would have faced the same thing because, your market disappeared. How did you go about reconfiguring? Because we want to get into the products that you're now offering.
Sure.
And at some point also, we're going to talk a little bit about the future of trade shows, because I think you're in a unique, I'm sure you're thinking about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
We all are, but you're thinking about it more. So everything disappeared. You've got staff, you're an ESOP. Like me, you're feeling fiduciary responsibility for the stock value and your employees, stockholders. How do you take a deep breath, and how did you go about figuring out what to do?
Yeah, we were certainly climbing for quite a few years. The past 3 years, we were recognized as Inc. 5000 fastest growing companies. And we became an ESOP 2 years ago. So I would say the fundamental component of our business is connections and engagement. And so we do that through that traffic builder of food. But it was about 3 weeks into COVID that I thought, how are you going to connect with your customers? From a corporate association perspective, long ago, I actually sold sponsorships. And so my first thought was, for the trade shows that are going on virtually, their entire menu and sales cycle just changed. You can no longer sell shuttle buses. You can no longer sell lanyards or registration bags or aisle banners. Your menu of opportunity is just digital ad space. And so my first solution was to say, how about a package packed with positivity of snacks that you send to that registrant, and then include sponsored literature. Because we're all accustomed to, at a trade show, receiving a door drop at your room with literature and some promotional items. What if we sent that, but the theme around it has to resonate with everybody? It's not just literature, it's more than that, because everyone's juggling quite a bit. And so our first box I called Refresh, Refuel, Recharge.
Okay.
And I found some local items here because, again, most places were closed. So one of the first items I found was Prevail beef jerky. And I kind of went from there and built everything around impactful, positive branding. And then since then, we've evolved and have more concepts.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about the boxes, or do you have one there? Or
sure, I do. Let's see if it'll show
I think
up
that
on
would
camera.
help, because not only have I seen them and then looked online, and we'll send out a link to everybody, by the way, who's listening, where they can see this, but I was the grateful recipient of one of your boxes.
Absolutely. We've done quite a bit of, our market has really thrived with happy hour. We've done happy hour with many of our friends, but I send out around a happy hour boxes in our industry. And then this is my wine themed one. This was, let's see if you can see that. This is called Sip Sip Hooray. And it has everything that you would need to go with a wine happy hour.
So so you're becoming so you're sticking with food and beverage, you're sticking with relationships. Then did you first start with your trade show list to market to them or to those companies? And, tell us about how how you did that and how you marketed and how you, I guess you dealt with staffing and other issues.
Well, our client mix completely changed. So originally we were dealing with um, exhibit houses that design and build booths,
Yep.
which we're not doing right now, as well as direct clients that we work for on the trade show floor, corporate companies. But we were dealing with the convention manager. So now the first place I started was all of our association contacts. So we went through the 200 trade shows that we go to, and we found the connection at each and every trade show and reached out to them with our opportunities. And those conversations are still ongoing. And then we are also reaching out to our clients to ask for introductions to HR, for employee appreciation, for sales, for client engagement, and other virtual internal meetings. But for right now, that trade show support, the network and ecosystem there has really changed and continues to change.
Yeah. So you've reinvented your business essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a question is then, well, how's, two questions. One is, how's it going? And then will your intent be to just have your business be redefined? You've pivoted and that's it? Or
No,
are you going to go back, or are you just going to start maybe a new division or a whole new company? What's your plan as an
another
entrepreneur?
division, actually. So it's really going to be a sustainable business for us that we've seen. Right now, we've sent about 5,000 boxes nationwide in just a few months. Some orders people place are for 10, and some have placed orders for 1,000.
And what would be your sweet spot of how many you'd really like?
I'd say a nice 200 to 500 is a nice sweet spot.
Okay.
But we have a full team in the back. Everybody is, I know I mentioned we had about 130 full-time and part-time. We've reduced our team to 20.
Okay.
And everybody has a role. I mean, everybody's rolled up their sleeves and adjusted.
Okay, now maybe we get to the ESOP
Yeah.
a little bit. So people must be doing now jobs that are very different than what their job was on January 1st or, February.
Uniquely, we removed all titles and layers. So now everyone, we have training managers, production managers, graphic designers. We've removed all titles, and everyone is simply going by employee owner.
Okay, how does anybody know what to do? Interesting management, interesting management choice.
Mm-hmm. Everybody still has their areas of specialty. It's just no one has a narrow scope responsibility. So everyone has packed boxes. Our team, I'm thrilled to say they've adjusted every system that we have for the business needs today. So that means the CRM, they've cloned the CRM. And normally we have our normal catering and trade show hospitality. We've cloned it, and we have an entire CRM for Better Together boxes and have built up a database of over 4,000 contacts.
Do you have then a business plan of thresholds? You said 5,000 boxes, pretty impressive, starting from zero. I think a startup would be happy to say we've done 5,000 boxes, but you already had an infrastructure. So you have, the so-called monster to feed. You're sitting in a building and, computers and internet and all that stuff, as well as employees and benefits and such. So are you tracking on your business plan, or how are you?
We have met our targets for this month. So our targets to say this is what we were going to spend in labor, and this is the income we anticipated generating. And so for the first month since COVID, we've made target, which means we haven't overspent. We feel that the labor, that's our investment, because when we do go back in action, we need every single one of our team members to help us rebuild and, hire and train and recruit and process. We need everyone. So we're just doing different jobs today that will evolve in the coming year.
Okay, smart way to go about it.
Survival.
Yeah, and so people are rising to that then, or are they rising to it?
Absolutely.
And they realize, okay, so we're coming on, close to 15 minutes here, which it goes really fast, doesn't it? I'm always surprised how fast it goes. we need to know about the future of trade shows. I'm involved right now with a 3-day trade show that it's a wonderful show. I've been to it. It's
Mm-hmm.
huge, it's colorful, it's inspiring. I'm trying to do it virtually. I was on a session
Mm-hmm.
this morning where it was a discussion with a group. It worked. I was on a presentation just before this, like,
Mm-hmm.
just kind of watching. It's not the same. What's
Mm-hmm.
the future of trade shows? What's going to happen? Get out your crystal ball. Tell us what's going to happen.
Well, unfortunately, I think it's going to be Q2, so we can look forward to, next summer to go back to trade shows. I do believe that we need adequate testing and a vaccine for comfort for those that travel.
To
But
get people in
the
person.
virtual option, while it will grow the audience size of those that can participate in the experience and the professional development, there is no substitution for live events. And so I think people will be anxious to travel, to see and connect, and do so safely. But those that I talk to are ready for those guidelines to change. I do think there's a bit of consumer behavior that we'll have to work through as well, though. I think we're all
Okay.
getting really comfortable staying home.
Yeah, it's easy. It's cheaper
Mm-hmm.
than, flying to Oakland for a trade show, wherever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, interesting. So your prediction is you think Q2 next year we might be starting to get back together.
Many of our shows that we participate in have moved dates to next summer.
Hmm.
And so typically in the trade show space, summer is very slow because people take vacations and whatnot. But because of the availability in convention space, every
Oh,
venue, as an option to move your dates, you can move it to the summer.
okay. So they're going to
Once
be
you move
deals.
past the summer, I think that will be an anomaly. I think it'll just be next year. But most of your annual events happen the same date each year,
Right.
different destinations.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think we're just going to move that calendar because, trade shows have impactful business connections. There's a learning component, but those business connections and economic impact
Yeah, it's
cannot just be supported online.
no, pretty far reaching. And the experience is just, it's not quite the same. Great. So we're getting long and, but it's
Okay.
interesting. So that's perfect. Okay. One more, and every business manager, employee owner, employees appreciate this maybe is, okay, come on. Now this took a horrendous, this takes a toll on the individual and especially person in charge, you, Hailey.
Mm-hmm.
So how did you manage to, how did you manage to get through? Give us some tips of, because for instance, in Wisconsin right now, man, we just had a record day yesterday. It's like, oh man, I don't want to see that. That's not encouraging. So how do we all get through the disruption? Because everybody has their sleepless night or their frustrating Monday or Friday or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
What were your tips for managing through crisis and taking a deep breath, shaking it off and moving forward?
Well, every single person we talk to, everyone's carrying 2 or 3 hardships during COVID. Everybody
Mm,
just has a mixed bag of challenges. Personally, I feel always challenged by the weight of the team that supports our organization. So it's a lot to carry the livelihoods of food at everybody else's table above and beyond my own. But I believe in what we're doing, and I think when you have a culture of positivity, that it's magnetic. And this office is it's a force of like encouragement, not only what we do right here, but everything that we project out, that's contagious. And what's on the news and what's going on in the world may not always be positive,
that's
but
for
we
sure.
are intentional about how we choose to contribute. And that's in hard times like now, because it's hard,
Mhm.
and it's in good times where we've flourished. But I think it's just that the attaboy we give each other, because there's no 2 days that are the same. There's no defined job description. And so you have to be a little bit comfortable and risky with the uncertainty.
Okay, well, that's a great summary, and thank you. And like somebody's going to be breaking in here every minute saying, "Stop, stop."
Okay.
So, Hailey Rosenstein, Crêpes Latte. Tell us where we can see the boxes.
Bettertogetherboxes.net.
Yeah, take a look at it. It's cool stuff. It's another way of staying in touch, and we're all as business owners with customers trying to maintain relationships. Interesting idea. I have to tell you, your story, Hailey, is inspirational. It's a great story of entrepreneurship, and
Mhm.
wow, I mean, impressive. Kudos for not giving up and figuring out what to do. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much.
All right. This is Mark Gale for 5 and 15 from CO signing off. We'll see you next time. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.